quite ready yet. And so I'm going to process here. I'm so excited that you're doing this, that you guys are doing this. And I might get pulled away again. So I'm here as long as I can, but I have to dress first. So thank you.
Well, speaking for myself, it really doesn't make any difference, but anyway, it may for others. Hi, Hawthorne.
Hey, Hawthorne.
Lovely. Okay, how are we doing? Well, maybe we'll. So are we recording? Yes, we're recording. Well, let's get to it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baba Yaga's Dark Forest and Vasilisa's journey with her doll. I'd like to have us create sacred space so that we can do the magical working in sacred space. And I'm up for maybe just at the beginning to kind of make sure we're all here is if we could just have a quick round of hello and where you're coming in from, where you're zooming in from, the traditional lands you're on, and yeah, just a word about dolls for you. What brought you here to make some dolls? And you all need to unmute yourselves to check in.
When it's time for you to check in, I can get started. Hi, I'm Beat. I'm currently grateful to be living on the Lekwungen territories. And other words that have escaped my mind temporarily. And yeah, thank you for doing this, Med, and really grateful to be here. Was that everything we were supposed to check in on? I'm going to show you the dolly that I made many years ago. This is Punka Bunny.
Aw.
A little tail.
Aw.
A little bit of a studded ear band.
Thank you.
So to facilitate the check-in going smoothly, when you're done, if you want to tag someone randomly to go next. So I'm going to tag Zenzi next.
Hi. So I am on Silex territory in the Okanagan Valley, and I'm in the Glenmore Valley, to be specific. I'm excited about making a doll because it feels really important to me to do that right now. Mm-hmm. And it feels like really big ancestor work. Mm-hmm. You know, I've got stuff from my mother and my grandmother and from when my kids were young. Like, I feel like I need to span that time period. Mm. And it feels very meaningful to me. So thank you for doing this.
And I'm Kathy, and I live in basically the same area as Lindsay, although I am in the downtown area of Kelowna. And dolls have always been a really big part of my life, and doll making has been a big interest of mine for a long time. So I have quite an accumulation of materials from which to choose. It feels a bit overwhelming, actually, but I'm excited because Lindsay and I were just talking about, you know, right now we're going to have to be staying in Kelowna and the area. We don't have the same opportunities for travel as we maybe have had in the past. And as we go forward into the winter, I'm just feeling I'm really looking forward to some support and putting some positive energy into my doll to support me through this transition time.
Oh, tag someone.
Oh, tag somebody. Rachel.
Hi. I'm actually going to update because it's Rachel and Tessa at the moment. Hi, everybody. I'm also on unceded Lekwungen territory, Esquimalt and Songhees nations. And I love doll making a whole lot. And I'm really excited to make dolls with everybody today. Yeah. And I'll pass it over to Tessa.
Hi. I'm Rachel's new neighbor, which is so cute. Yeah, I clearly live in the same place and I'm really looking forward to this workshop. I also love dolls. I remember mostly I had a lot of like stuffed animals as a child, but they were very kindred to me and they've always just been very special. So looking forward to this. Thanks, Medwyn. Nice to see all your faces.
And we will toss the check-in ball to Hawthorne.
Hey, I'm Hawthorne. I'm living on the territories of the Lekwungen speaking people, Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations. And in Victoria. And I am, it's weird. I have a weird relationship with dolls. I was really much more into stuffed toys, like animals, furry animals. I found animals less confusing than people. And I also think like I remember like I wasn't very nice to my dolls, the ones that I did have. Like I would do experiments on them, or I think I was working out some of my stuff from being in the hospital when I was a kid, but I was like, I would do surgeries on my dolls. I did brain surgery, and not that I didn't have brain surgery, but I did brain surgery on my dolls. So, I just feel I have this kind of troubled relationship with dolls, but I'm going to see. I had a doll. I went to 2015 California camp and they did Baba Yaga that year. And Suzanne Ray, I believe, made dolls for everybody. Like she came with this big bag of dolls. And so we all just sort of picked the one that we were drawn to. And they were very simple dolls, right? And we could embellish them if we wanted. But so I brought my doll home from that camp, put it on my window ledge in my bedroom, and then didn't think about it much. And then one day I realized it was no longer there. Just, it's gone. Like I have no idea. Like, where did it go? Like, it's not on the, like, all I could figure is that maybe it fell into a garbage can that was nearby, but like, I think I would have noticed it when I emptied the garbage. There's like, the doll is gone. Like, where did it go? No idea. Anyway, I felt kind of troubled about doing this workshop, but I did try to find, my mother made me an apron, my mother passed away almost 2 years ago. My mother made me an apron that kind of had fallen apart a bit, so I sort of put it away, but I know it's here somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. So I was kind of hoping to make the doll out of that, but I haven't found it. So I have some other stuff, but okay, check, thanks. And Passionator. Oh, is Passionator there right now? Maven, I'll just toss it to you.
Okay, thanks, Hawthorne. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you, Medwyn, for doing this for everybody, so that everybody could make their own doll. I don't have a lot of experience making dolls. I've done a fair bit of sewing and cross stitch, but not making toys or dolls. So I'm excited to do it. I got separated from my family and my household at the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm living with someone else, and I have limited access to my things, but I happen to bring my my basket of craft things with me that has a lot of my altar kinds of things in it. And I think I have found enough stuff so that I can do a doll, but I don't have maybe the fine points of something from my ancestors or my kids or what have you. But I do have a quilt my mom made in the back on my bed. So maybe the energy from that can just suffuse into my doll. So anyway, thank you. Oh, and I live in unceded Duwamish territory in what is called Seattle. To the Passionator.
Hello. It just occurred to me that I might actually have a half-done project by my great-grandmother. So I was just searching for the box that it might be in. I'm really excited. I do really well with tangible items that can remind me of things, anything. tangible reminders are good. I really, really like the idea of making a doll I can put in my pocket. It pleases me greatly. I also love that one of the first few classes I had done was rites of passage with you, Medwyn. So it feels very appropriate to be doing this with your guidance. And also because it's crafty and I'm not doing enough crafty stuff for fun. So it will be feeding my soul. Check. Has Oriana checked in?
No.
Okay, I'm passing it to you. Oh, you look like
I'm still not dressed. But since we're recording, I'm not going to show you any like exciting parts. So thank you so much, Medwyn. And I really don't like dolls. I don't think I ever liked dolls. I had a doll kicking around here for years and years and years that my mom had made a little jacket for. And I just like a week ago or something, put it in the giveaway box. I'm going to go check now. I'm not actually sure it's actually left the house. So I might be able to retain that little jacket. The doll itself was really quite ugly, but the jacket was really cute. So anyway, what I'm loving about this is you're tying this into ancestral support. And that's what's intriguing me. As I said, I'm not a doll person. I'm not even really like a concrete spell kind of person. That's just not, it's not my go-to place at all. So this is a stretch for me, and we'll see. And as I said, I'm sorry, I have to kind of come and go out of this session, but I will be checking back later for the recording part. And it's really nice to see you all. And as I think, did everybody else check in already? Did you check in, Beat? Everybody, over to you then, Medwyn. Thank you.
Okay, wow. Well, big welcome. So my check-in is here I am on Lekwungen ancestral territories, and I ended up doing this because there was a beautiful I think it was an Inuit doll that I saw on Facebook, and I posted it and made the comment that I love making dolls. And so Ruby sent me a message and said, ha, I see you love making dolls. So here I am, and it's true. I love making dolls in sacred space related to a specific magical purpose. That's probably the whole sentence about I love making dolls. So all of the dolls that I have fall into that category. And I'm excited that you've all decided to show up, and I'm hoping that what we can do is we can kind of support each other to work with whatever it is we have. It sounds like there's a number of people who have experience and there's some who do not. So I'm happy to support and facilitate and make suggestions, and we'll see how it goes. My plan, if there is such a thing ever with me, for the morning is, or the session, is that we would create sacred space. We'd maybe just do a brief trance or a dropped and open or some brief process that sort of brings us into ancestral contact. And then we move from that place into the making. From what I've heard from everybody's check-in, I don't think anyone needs any more suggestions or guidance from me about the energy that they want to work with. It sounds like everybody's pretty clear on that. concept. And the other thing I just wanted to say, because I hadn't put these two things together until just this morning, is here we are a couple of weeks from Samhain. So it feels like this very strong, I know I'm really, really aware of the veil thinning and the ancestral energy and the recently beloved dead who are not far away. So thank you for showing up, and maybe we could all unmute and you can step up to the sacred space process. So we need somebody to ground. We need someone to ground. Oh, thanks, Pasha. And somebody to cast.
I'll cast.
Thanks, Maven.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 directions in center. So east, south, west, north, center.
I'll take North.
Who was that?
Rachel.
Thank you. My eyes are zooming around my screen trying to figure out who was that.
I'll take west, Lindsay, Zenzi.
Okay, great. So we have north and west. We need an east and a south.
I'll do south. It's Tessa.
Thank you.
East.
Thank you.
Who was north?
Rachel.
Rachel. Center.
I can do center.
Okay.
East.
So for deity invocations, I'd just like to leave that space for you to all call in whoever it is that you're wanting to work with in this process. And we can speak their names, and just remembering that we don't want it to get too crowded, because we'll also be talking to some ancestors. Thanks, Pete. Ariana's scooted out. Okay. So let's start with Pasha.
I'm very excited because I just found a bunch of my great grandmother's beads that she used probably to make my grandmother's wedding dress in the style of Snow White. So I need to calm down. So let's all take 3 breaths together. And pull in all those scattered little bits that are floating around. Bring them back in like you're rolling up a ball of yarn. And let some of your awareness accord, however you like to visualize, dropping to the base of your spine, down to the center of the earth. As an anchor. And then let some roots start to grow out of your feet, out of the soles as they meander on the way down into the earth. And take notice of everyone else's roots and our connection to the mycelium. Just feel that buzz of energy. And let your roots go down however far is comfortable. And with a breath in, bring up that mother energy into your soul and body. Let anything that doesn't feel like it needs to be there, or anything goopy, dark, whatever, just let it go down that center cord. You don't need it. And if it feels right, take a few more breaths, bringing the energy up from your roots. And just let it emanate to all the corners and reaches of your body and beyond. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Maybe run your hands down the edges of your body. And bring yourself to the here and now. Blessed.
Blessed be Martha. Thank you. So we're going to cast a circle, and what we're going to do essentially is create a circle or a sphere for ourselves wherever we are in our homes that will be big enough to encompass whatever you need in your home. But in terms of whole space, that our bubbles are big enough, magically big enough and filled with love, that they are able to find the closest bubble of the other person in our circle, so that we're like bubbles, soap bubbles that all connect. And we are opening to the energies of the directions, etheric energies. So I'm going to start in the north, and I invite you to do whatever you do, cast a circle, a sphere for yourselves. And we say, by the earth that is her power, their body, by the waters of our living blood. I think I screwed up. No. By the air that is our sweet breath. By the fire of our bright spirit. By the waters of living blood. By all that is above. By all that is below. Our circle is cast. And on a breath, we expand the circle and the meeting of the directions and the above and the below, and blow it out to the sphere, opening up around you, behind you, above you, below you, big enough to encompass everything that you need. And on a breath, blowing that out in love to find and connect in whole space the bubbles that we each have, creating a circle for this work that we're about to do today. The circle is cast. We have begun.
So powers of the east, of air, of breath, of beginnings, let us know, let us envision, let us see what we need and what we want to bring into being. May we be held by this breath and this song. Thank you and welcome, East and Air.
Welcome, fire of the south, as we enter into the dark months, the cold. May we feel the warmth and heat that fire brings, the joy, the spark, the inspiration. May we feel the courage and heart of our ancestors, the well ones, the ones who have guided our hearts and brought us to this moment. May we feel them, feel their connection, feel their love as we weave together those energies into our dolls today.
And we move to the west, to that watery place. And as I look west, I see rain. I know the lake is beyond the hills, and I feel supported by water. I feel supported by emotion. I feel supported by the emotion and the support of my ancestors who are here with me already. And they're happy that we're doing this work. So I welcome that. I welcome that emotion that will come with the ancestors and the water and west. Welcome.
I'm in the north, earth, the same earth that carried footsteps of our ancestors, of bone, of blood, of craft. That groundedness, the deep, deep, deep well of strength, foundation, rocks and stones and bones and molten at its core. Welcome, Earth.
Now drawing all these threads into the center, all these stories, all these tendrils, all these fibers of our sacred space, weaving them into the center and drawing in the supplies you have around you, the actual threads, the actual tendrils and fibers into this magic working. And if you wish, I invite you to tone that magic together in your space. Welcome, elements.
Brutal. Yeah.
Taking a moment to invoke either silently or spoken any deity who you feel present for you in this working today. Welcome, mysterious ones.
welcome Vasilisa's mother, the doll maker, and the other mothers and the other grandmothers that want to be with us. Welcome.
I invoke Demeter, she of the harvest, loving mother. Demeter, join us, join me.
Mm.
I ask for your witness and your love.
Thank you, everyone. So before we go any further, I just want to say hello to Otis. Welcome. So that was just, we did such an amazing job of creating sacred space. I'm not sure that I need to do very much more other than maybe just take a short journey. So as we are held by all of those elemental energies, the great love of every heart in this circle and beyond, the magic of our intention to be together, to honor our ancestors, and to honor ourselves in carrying ourselves forward into the dark. Feeling all of that wrapping you like a great warm blanket, I invite you now to drop a little deeper into the mystery that is you. The one who, underneath all of the layers of image and sound and experience of this mundane world, the one who, underneath all of that, knows who you are. And that one is the one that I invite you now to move forward with into the mists of autumn. allowing that sweet sense of the falling leaves, the smell of the moist earth, so well fed by these rains. The sound of the birds migrating south now. The sensation of moisture in the air touching your cheek, perhaps droplets, mist turning almost to rain. Perhaps catching some of those droplets and blessing your tongue with the moisture of the universe. And there you are, one among many souls in the mists of time. Watching, perhaps asking, waiting to see the old ones, the wise ones, your teachers, your ancestors of blood, bone, spirit, or craft, the ones whose wisdom will flow through you in this magical working. And as those mists swirl and move, they offer you perhaps a glimpse, perhaps a scent, perhaps even a soft calling. Perhaps even a mystical touch. And as you welcome only those who come fully healed and of goodwill to be with you. You feel your energy opening to them. As together, you watch the mists slowly dissipate and the light come in. And now you can feel the weight of your body on the chair and your feet on the floor. And you're breathing and you're here. And you rub your hands and you touch your body. And here we are. So I thought what we could do is start off by talking a little bit about some of the practicalities of ways to make a thing that we are calling a doll, which doesn't have to be a representation of a humanoid figure. It can be anything. More importantly, it is a representation of the wisdom and the magic that we're working here, the ancestor magic that we're working here. And then as we go into our working, I was going to have Beat put us into breakout rooms of 3 people in each room so that we could perhaps invoke that sense of the old time sewing circle, which is the place where so many family stories were shared and so many pieces of wisdom were passed down. I'm just going to invite Otis to introduce yourself briefly, where you are from, where you're living, where your land is, whose land you're on, and what is it about doll making that brought you to the workshop today? And we need you to thank you.
Hi, I am on Lekwungen territory, Esquimalt and Songhees First Nation. I am drawn to have an anchor and a guide through dark times, through my own shadow work, and something to ground and anchor that knowing and reminder and remembering of my true self. It's definitely the guide I need in work with shadow, doing that right now a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Otis. Okay, so this is an unfinished doll-like item. It's an interesting stick that I found somewhere. And all that I've done with this so far is wrap wool around it. in places where it looked like it could form a body. And then these were actually pipe cleaners that I wrapped around the stem here, and doesn't have a face yet, but I think this is probably the area where the face will go. So as you can see, there's no sewing involved in this at all. Well, actually, I lie. I did a little bit of hand stitching to this is fabric to get the fabric to fit around the doll here, but this could quite just as easily have been more wool wrapping. So that's a very kind of undoll-like approach to doll making, but just an example of some of the many ways we can use different materials to make an object that serves as our anchor, as our guide, as our. So this was done in creative space with my art collective. I tend to make quite a few dolls at Bridget, and my friend Susan the farmer brought along corn husks one year, and all this is, again, is just, it's the corn husk using dried leaves to tie it together. This is a braid of the dried leaves from the corn husk. Which when I made it was not as dry as it is now. But again, that's just, you know, it's a thing that I can call a doll. Where have we gone?
It's interesting. It's interesting that you say you do a lot of doll making with Bridget, because I almost called Bridget in. I wanted to, and I was like, I don't know why. Anyways, I work with Bridget a lot. She's kind of a mother to me. I just wondered why you.
Well, I celebrate Bridget every year with the same group of women in Langley, White Rock. And we love doing physical crafty things. And so there were quite a few years where we did doll making. So this is another Bridget doll, and she's a clothes peg doll. And again, I think there's some sewing around the hat. But what I wanted to point out here was that you know, there's a lot of ripping and tearing of fabric that goes on. There's probably more ripping and tearing to make interesting shapes to create a doll than there is actual sewing. There certainly is more ripping and tearing in this one. And the clothes peg could just as easily be, this is a chopstick. So her base is a chopstick, so it could be any kind of stick. And then I used some stuffing to create a head, but there's really no body here. It's all just ripped and torn pieces of fabric tied on. This is just wrapped around and tied at the front. And it was I did a little run of stitches through the top of the cape and tightened it up so that, and just tied it in the front there. Here I drew the face on with marker pen. And wool, I really love the different treatments of wool for hair. This is just fleece, dyed fleece, unspun wool. And this was a doll I made in a workshop shortly after I moved here, when I was also busily engaged in some shadow work. And this was made of bits and pieces that the woman offering the workshop offered. So this is interesting. This is from a Stolox binder, you know, the wire that goes through the pages of the binder. And that formed a pretty interesting base to work from. And again, there's not a lot of sewing in this. There's a lot of tying and yeah, glue. Perhaps it's glued on. And just one more. I made this doll with Allison in a workshop working with a myth. And this is probably the most elaborate amount of attaching I've ever done with any of the dolls I've made. She's got lots of things hanging off her because there just happened to be lots of different things on the table that I thought were kind of fun to tie up and hang off. And again, it's torn, ripped and torn fabric tied together with things that will tie with stuff. Yeah. So my suggestion about bringing clothing. This is something I started a while ago, and this is all hand sewn. There's no machine stitching in this. So I cut out an oval of fabric, and then I stuffed it, and then I started taking it in and shaping it to make a figure form from it. So this is an approach where you don't actually have to make separate limbs. You can just start with a solid piece and then work it from there. The other thing I wanted to say was that I had offered 2 sessions in the hopes that those of you who are here today, if you start on a project and we don't have time to finish them today, we can finish them next month, because I know for me, this is an example of, you know, I don't finish something in the sitting and then I intend to go back to it and I never get there. So that was the main idea behind offering two different sessions. At this point, I want to see if anybody has any questions or needs some help or ideas or suggestions. Okay. Do you all know what you're planning, what you're going to do? Yeah, that's an iffy kind of. Did you find your apron, Hawthorne?
No, I
Okay.
think I'm gonna just, I think I need to kind of not, I think I need to just sort of let it be however it is.
Yes.
May mean like not actually doing very much. I'm just trying to like fiddle around with stuff, so I'm probably not going to be, too focused. Yeah.
Okay. That's what crafting is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Medwyn, you mentioned about an idea, and something when you were doing the visualization was about the mists and scents. And so the kind of olfactory sense of stuffing your doll with something that gives fragrance. So lavender might be an example of that, or pine needles, or, you know, other things that may inspire you, calm you. Might be something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Essential oils, if you're using a stuffing that can absorb essential oils, you can do that as well.
Nice. Yeah. I have one of the other things that I've done in with my art collective is we've done a practice called the dream scroll, and what we do with that is we make dream pillows and we stuff those with mugwort and lavender. And that's a, yeah. So if you have anything around that's scented, the other thing that occurs to me is, you know, if you have dried herbs in your kitchen, you could use some of those that would be appropriate. Okay, if everybody's sort of starting to work, Beat, maybe rather than doing automatic small groups, because we've got 2 groups of 2 already, you can just add 1 person to each of those. And then the other 3 people can work together.
Sure. Yep. Do that. Okay, so I have 3 rooms. So we're going to give you a 1-minute warning when the session is about to end. And how long do we want to do this for, Medwyn?
It's 5 after 1. Let's do a 15-minute session.
Okay, so we'll give you, there'll be a 1-minute warning at 14 minutes.
Okay, and then we'll come back into the main group and share our time. Okay.
Okay, it'll take a minute or so to get in and out, so don't worry about that.
That you have to make 1 group in the main room. So you have 1 group less than the number.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you need to say, yes, you accept the room.
Goodbye.
And if you don't have a request to accept a room, then you're in this room. Senzi is in another room, but they haven't come yet.
Medwyn probably is supposed to join Zenzi, is that right?
Yeah, we're gonna have 1. Add someone to this. No, the 4 of us are left in this room.
But Zenzi's a 2-person group, so if you can you add another breakout room and put Maven in with Zenzi and her friend?
Trying to see. Oh, move to. There we go. Trying to. Okay, now Maven has an invitation. So it's Medwyn, Pasha, and me in this room.
And Zenzi has an invitation?
Senzi has an invitation. Maven has an invitation. They've not taken the invitation.
Okay.
Senzi has, and Maven needs to.
Can you hear us, Maven?
Oh, she'll get that.
Okay.
I might have not set this up right though.
Okay, well, we can keep an eye on the time.
Yeah, I think I forgot to do the time. I'll see if I can do this posthumously. So it's 1:08. So 15 minutes is, let's say 1:22. So I'll give them a 1-minute warning at 1:22. So Maven, you need to accept your invitation. I changed it up a bit. Okay, now it does.
Well done, it worked. Great.
And can I?
So I have set my timer on my iPhone, so I'll know.
Yeah, I was supposed to do that beforehand and I didn't, so.
All right, I've got
I
I
can
said,
broadcast a message to them a minute beforehand, so I can still give them a warning.
that's okay.
Okay. Nice.
Awesome. So I'm really glad that we set up 2 sessions.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good plan. Would either of you be terribly offended if I briefly put my sewing machine on the table? And
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. We won't tell anyone.
did a very quick Virgo job on this little doll that I'm making quickly. Okay, good. Thank you. I've only just started using my sewing machine again in craft night. It maybe is 10 years since I've plugged this thing in. I'm inspired by all the mask making and everything that everyone's been doing.
It had been many, many years since I had used my sewing machine, probably 15 or more.
I was pretty much in the same boat. I got a really interesting machine. I don't do it all well with the fancy modern computerized ones, and I gave my old Kenmore that I bought when I was in Dawson City when my son was born and made his clothes on it. I gave it to him, and then I ended up buying another used classic model Pfaff machine when I was in Courtney. So that's what I've been working with. And I took it into the local sewing place on Douglas and had it serviced and oiled and all the appropriate things. And it's just been really lovely to work with. I think I'll be doing quite a bit of sewing this winter.
I've been enjoying it. I pulled out a bag of leggings and clothes that had holes in them. That's just been sitting in the corner of my room for probably 10 years, and I sewed them all up 2 craft nights ago, and that felt really good.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So all of my curtains are the wrong length. They're all thrift store like sheer curtains for privacy, and they're all way longer than the curtains that are actually on the window. So I'm gonna take those down. All right, I'm gonna mute for a second while I run this through.
I bought some very cheap curtains for this place when I moved in, intending to shorten them. They have, I got them because they have really effective heat/sun resistant linings. Opened one of them and it was such a pain that I don't know if I'll ever do the other one. I just tuck it behind a piece of furniture. And one of the things about COVID is, nobody is coming to my house, so it doesn't really matter if my curtains don't match. And soon I'll be in a different house, so there you go. My mother didn't sew. My first experience with sewing was at school. Obviously I went to school in England. And the traditional thing for girls' schools was called domestic science. And I attempted to make a blouse, and it was pink cotton. And of course, I never finished it. And for my entire life at home until I left home and came to Canada when I was 21, that damn unfinished pink blouse sat on top of my mother's sewing box. So every time anybody went in to get cotton or anything to do another project, the blouse reappeared. But then in the Yukon, I had a wonderful sister-in-law who taught me to sew clothing, because when I moved up to the Yukon in 1971, you could only really buy clothes from the catalog, or one store there had some women's clothing, none of which I was interested in wearing. And there was an English woman in Whitehorse who opened a fabric store and bought in the most beautiful fabrics. So Ellie, my sister-in-law, proceeded to teach me how to sew, and that was such a gift, because that's how I ended up sewing my son's clothing when he was little. And it's, you know, it's the old riding the bicycle thing, right? Once somebody's shown you how to sew, you might forget some of the fine points, but basically you know what you're doing.
My mom didn't sew, but my dad did.
Cool.
Mostly just mending.
Yeah.
As he gained weight and lost weight, he would take things in and take them out.
Yeah.
Including his underwear. So for posterity, my mom has kept one of his underwear that has like all these zigzag stitches. Is just really
imagine
neat
what
to
sort
look.
of underwear it was that it needed to be adjusted.
Well, it's because he gained weight and lost weight. So when he lost weight, he wouldn't buy new underwear. He would just take them in. My mom would buy him new underwear, but he'd leave it in the package and just, you know, he grew up without very much and he didn't waste.
Yeah, that's right. Well, my mother did darn. She darned socks. And she could hand sew and fix things, but she didn't actually make anything from scratch. There was more knitting going on. And I never really took to knitting. I tried. Crochet was a bit better, but I much prefer playing with fabric.
My great grandmother was a seamstress. She worked for Warner Brothers.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
So, yeah. So when my grandmother got married, she made the wedding dress. And at the time, it was when Snow White was out and happening. So it has like the high collar and the, you know, Snow White fashion.
Wow.
And it was designed by someone who's apparently very famous. I don't remember his name. And she spent months and months and months, or maybe a year, beating this thing all over, all down the center, all around the train.
Wow.
Like it is
gorgeous.
Yeah, it is amazing.
So do you still have parts of the dress?
We can't find it. We don't know where it is.
Maybe it's wherever Hawthorne's doll from California camp went to.
It would be really nice to find it because it could go in a museum.
I was going to say it's. Yeah, my mother's wedding veil was in a, maybe the dress too, was in a box in a cupboard in the front room of the house I grew up in for years and years. I don't know, I guess when they moved that away from that house, she let it go. That's something I would have liked to have because it was beautiful. Oh, I'll show you. My parents' wedding pictures. See that dress and how long that veil is?
Wow.
Isn't that gorgeous?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of veil.
Yeah, the dress is so simple too.
For some reason, my mother sent me for sewing lessons after school.
Ah,
So I went down to the local sewing store and learned how to sew, like on the machines, and sewed really ugly 80s clothing for the most part.
but
But
that's
apparently I've forgotten how to do it because in sewing my little doll here, I sewed it closed, intending to stuff it, so I've had to rip it open again. Yeah, it's been useful. I haven't used it that much, but when I have, it's been really useful just to know how to thread a machine, like the basics. Like most things my mother taught me, I don't actually want to use them. But when I do, they are useful.
Well, except she didn't do the teaching in this case. She sent you to the local store.
But she wanted me to.
Yeah. Yeah.
My dad bought a FAF when
Yeah.
my sister was in home ec. So
Yeah.
she went there because they would do lessons on how to use the machine and all the different stitches.
Yeah, it's an amazing little machine. Does all kinds of things. I, of course, don't do all kinds of things with it. I do pretty basic work, but it's nice to have that possibility.
I worked in a quilting shop for a little while.
Hmm.
And my dear friend bought me a really nice machine. I think for my birthday or something, or I don't remember why.
Lovely.
But it's gorgeous. It's amazing.
9 o'clock. We have about 23 seconds to go.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Now it passed. Yeah.
Glad you put this.
What's happening with the breakout rooms here? So broadcasting a message. One left. Broadcast. What's that noise?
That's my timer going off
Ah, okay.
and me having trouble figuring out how to shut it up.
20.
My father's business was he was a manufacturer's representative of things that they sold in the haberdashery departments at department stores. And haberdashery is buttons and belts and buckles and decorative things go on to things. And so he was the one really in the family who had the greatest sense of style and clothing. And he was very clear in his guidance about whether things, I remember I would buy something and I would model it for him, and he would say, if he didn't like it, he would say, "It doesn't do anything for you, dear," which was a nice way of saying it doesn't really look any good, but it was more about him being, I always felt it was more about him being interested in me enhancing, what I had in terms of natural appearance, rather than trying to look like someone else.
I think that's a minute. I think I'm going to close it up now. I haven't done the math properly, but
That's fine. I'm
closing
sure.
them up. They can handle it. Oh, now it says they'll close in 60 seconds. Oops. Okay, so I gave them 2-minute warnings.
All right. Well, I think you need to close them because Hawthorne is saying she has to finish by 1:30.
It won't let me. It's on a timer. It won't let me close it early.
Okay.
They've set it's 39 seconds. Hawthorne can just leave if she wants.
I know.
Our stories are being recorded.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably our stories, actually. It'll probably record ours and not the breakout rooms. Everyone can see that I cheated on sewing machine.
Uh-oh.
Everyone about my dad mending his underwear.
Well, you know what? I've chosen underwear, old underwear to stuff mine with.
Oh, that,
4 seconds. Welcome back.
yay. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Awesome. So Beat and Pasha and I had a great sharing about our parents' sewing habits or lack thereof. That was really fun. How did everybody else do?
It was great. We talked about what we're going to use and where it came from.
Nice.
Lots of cool stuff. Yeah.
And Maven? Can't hear you.
Maven, you're muted.
Maven, woohoo! You're muted. I'm sure you did lots of interesting things. Could you say them again?
Yeah. No, I just said that it was good. And but I feel like I took up more time talking than I would have if I realized how short the time was. I didn't realize I ate more than my share of the communist brownie. Sorry, guys.
That's fine.
This is very fun. Thank you.
Oh, good. That's great.
Yeah.
So how about Otis and Rachel and Tessa?
Yeah, there's one I have is birch.
We were Hawthorne and Rachel and Tessa.
Oh,
Yeah.
where did Otis?
And I don't know if we did. Tessa had to get materials and Hawthorne was getting materials, and
Yeah, I
we
was
were all
going
just
out
kind
trying
of
to
doing
find
our own
things, so,
processes without a lot of talking.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this kind of thing, because really everybody does what they need to do in the time they have. And Otis, so where was Otis? Was Otis with, who was, Otis, were you in a group?
I was with Zenzi and Kathy and
Maven.
Maven. Yeah.
Perfect. And how did you do?
So, well, I have a doll I carry around. It's this little pouch. I keep it in my hoodie pocket because it's something I wear all the time. I usually wear a hoodie and keep it in my pocket. So I'm making the doll. I'm sticking things in this too because it's kind of the doll I've had for many years. It's a little pouch made of wolf hair, and I keep magical objects in there.
Perfect.
But then I have these 2 shirts. One is for my matrilineal grandfather and one's from my patrilineal grandfather. They're both Capricorns, so there's a lot of ancestor work going on. And these shirts, they wore these shirts, and I made sure that I had one of their shirts because they both just were so habitual, and their shirts were something that really I wanted. So I have one of each, and I've got them cut so they're like the buttons and the lines are also, I've got the cuffs. I'll somehow make a little doll with.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've got lots of plants around my room I'm putting in it.
Oh, nice. Oh, great. Wow. That's so lovely. Well, thank you, everyone. So if you're all able to come again in a month, it's November the 15th, Sunday, November the 15th. Then I would like to try and leave more sewing time, and I think we can do that because we won't have as much introductory time, maybe. And of course, keep working in between times, and it will be lovely to see what everybody's been working on.
Is anyone interested in just hanging out for a little bit longer?
I think you could open. Also, I want to invite everyone to craft night every Friday, 7:30 to 9:30. I'll put the link in the chat here. Everyone's welcome. You can bring any friends, work on dolls, or whatever you feel like. You can darn your underwear.
Is there a lot of knicker darning going on at Craft Night? I've missed the last few.
I have thrown up a few leggings that have had some crotch rub in them, so fairly similar.
So Medwyn, what date did you say you would have
Sunday, November the 15th
at 12:30?
at 12 to 1:30, same as
12
this.
to 1:30. Okay, thank you.
For some reason, I thought we were going until 3.
I thought we were going to 1:30, which is why I booked something afterwards.
It's 1:30. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll stick around for a while.
So
Yay!
we're either going to carry the sacred space with us, or we're going to close the circle.
Do we want to tuck it away until next month, or like,
That's
do we
a
want
nice
to
idea.
disperse it?
Let's tuck it away.
Okay.
For dolls.
Yeah.
Well, my doll is all pieces right now, but yes.
Tuck it wherever makes sense.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Craft Night.
Okay. Here.
Awesome.
Craft Nights every
you, Medwyn.
week.
Craft night is every week.
Yay.
That's the link for now until otherwise shifted. It changes.
And people can stick around now if they want to. Is that
Okay.
correct?
Yep, I'll hang out for a
Thank
bit.
you.
Thank you, Medwyn. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Medwyn.
Thank you.
Thank you,
That
Medwyn.
was great.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
To see you.
Yeah.
Oh, this looks quite facey.
I may not live to see our story.
You can stop recording.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
All right.